All right, everybody, Stereo Police. I just I had a doctor's appointment today, and I have an obligation this evening, so I have limited time. This will probably be a quickie, but I hope to get accomplished a significant amount here on this particular speaker. Here's where we left off. What the heck was that? I want to put some epoxy on top of there as a form of a thread locker because I don't have lock washers. And I want to get these soldered. We're going to solder them. And I still need to extend the negative lead, the negative wire, up to the crossover network as well. And insert the woofer. That's a lot to do in a short period of time if I can shut my yap. Right now, I just played an hour's worth of drums. An hour straight, and I tend to play just whatever comes on Spotify. Whatever comes on, I play. Even if I don't know the song that well. You know, I've probably heard them in the past. Even, you know, as a drummer, it doesn't matter if you've heard it or not. Most songs, you can just get the vibe. You can just get the feel, and you can usually play it. And that's what I do. And by the time the song is over with, you know this. You know, you've got the feel for the song, and the beginning of the song might be a little rough, but the end gets pretty good. And that's why I call most of my drums cover/improv, because I don't learn the songs. I'm not going to learn them. I'm not going to take that kind of time because I enjoy playing a variety of things. Silicone. All right. Ugh. Ugh. Son of a gun. You know what I like is this stuff right here. I'm going to use this because it's not a runny. It's pretty strong. Let me see if it's dried up. It's not runny, it's a paste. I'm also not one of those drummers. There's a lot of drummers on YouTube that have, you know, super duper. What the heck? I'm losing my mind here. What did I do with the tongue depressor? Crap, hang on a second. You know, I'm gonna have to go get that thing. Hang on. There's a lot of drummers, and I have a lot of respect for all of them. It's not a criticism. That have... I'm going to talk. I'll show you what I'm doing in a second. I'm just putting a little bit of this on the top, and I'm going to see how it dries tomorrow. Yeah, I should have paused. I should have paused it because It's not going to be a looker, folks. It's not going to be a looker. Okay. Yeah, I should have paused. Sorry about that. Hang on a second, now I gotta wipe my hands. Yeah, I'm off to a bad start. Okay, bring the speaker over here. I had to set it upright in order to get my hands down in there to put a little dab of, is it dab or dollop? Of that really good adhesive on top of it. It's going to harden like a rock. Like I say, it's not a looker, but I'll show you later when it hardens. Okay. Now I think I need to, before I put the woofer back in while I'm soldering in that, soldering in that area. While I'm smoldering in that area, okay, got a good wire strip on that one. Barely enough room to do it. Gonna prep the other wire. This particular cable, it's really good cable. It's double insulated. It's got an inner sleeve and an outer sleeve. Let's see if I can make an inline connection. They call them butt connections. Once again, I'm kind of shaky from playing drums for so long, and I had a doctor's appointment today and they drew some blood, so I'm half liquidated. Alright, I got an inline. Got an inline there. And we'll get the smoldering iron set up. Now what the heck was I talking about? I was talking about drumming. And hey, you have a fast forward slider. If you didn't have a fast forward slider, I wouldn't be vamping here. I want to choose 700. I'm going to choose 700 degrees, which is a little more than you normally use, but it's pretty thick situation. And I'm not wearing safety glasses, and I should be, because I have to take my regular glasses off to see this close. Got a nice smoldering iron going. I wish this camcorder was a little higher, but it doesn't matter. So I was saying there's a lot of drummers. There are a lot of drummers on YouTube that do covers. And I think, you know, they make money on their channel, and I don't make money on anything. But they've got super high dollar equipment, and that's not me. Well, this is soldering nicely. It's wicking right in there. Yep, got a wick there. Being careful, I'm staying back kind of far to avoid splatter in my eye hole. Okay, I'll show it to you. I got a cheap electronic drum set, and a lot of these guys, you know, have cameras all over the place, you know, like from above and from below, and like a chest camera and a head-mounted camera. And I am not that self-important. I don't think my playing is that significant that anyone needs to see that stuff. And I'm an old punk drummer. I've said that before. I grew up with the Ramones, the Sex Pistols. Oh, there's so many bands. Especially the Ramones. When I first started playing, I played the Ramones. They came before the Police. Stuart Copeland's my guy, but I'm going to try. That piece ought to work. But, you know, punk is minimalist. You don't have high dollar stuff, and punk was anti-prog. And anti-elitist. Anti-elite. And that's the attitude I grew up with. I got a lot of my attitudes from music, from the punk scene, and my attitudes towards life as well, from the early punk scene. So I've always been anti-elitist. So when I see something I find to be a little bit too elite, or if I find myself heading in that direction of being a little too elite, I quickly move away and start to simplify. And that doesn't mean, you know, being anti-elitist. It doesn't mean you can't have nice things. It's just more of an attitude more than anything else. It's an attitude about it. And, you know, I think in some ways, I can get into this later, in some ways, the Beatles were like the first punk band in some ways. Now, I'm not really a fan of the Beatles, but they were pioneers in so many ways. And I'm not a fan of them, but I can certainly have respect for them. A lot of respect. And I've never heard that said. I'm raising the tripod. You're just going to have to deal. You just have to deal with it because I'm in a hurry. I've got an appointment or an obligation tonight. Okay. All right. When you hear songs like Revolution, and there's other ones, but they were also a very simple band. Never approached anything like Prague. Okay, I said that black, which goes to gray, is going to be negative. I'm going to leave a little space. And also in other ways, the first, I'm just thinking out loud here, my listening to rock and roll, like to me, the first modern rock and roll band, maybe you have a different take on this, like the first modern, okay, like in the 50s you had bebop and Bill Haley and the Comets, and which was cool, but that's not really a modern rock. Okay, that's negative right there. Yep. Okay, that's negative, and we're going to negative. Let's do that first. From just my observation, I could be totally and completely wrong, just my observation, the first modern rock and roll band that, kind of by modern standards, was Buddy Holly, I think. They were like the primordial modern rock and roll band, the Crickets and Buddy Holly. Pretty badass, Buddy Holly, I think. Man, I wish that guy had lived. Would have liked to see how Buddy Holly would have changed and morphed in the 60s, you know, with the change of times. That would have been really... Damn it! You know what I did again? I made the connection without shrink wrap, heat shrink tubing. You ever hear Fred Flintstone cuss? That's what I feel like when he cussed. It's like rack 'em, smack 'em, frack 'em. It was really cool, the way Fred Flintstone cussed. He did too. When he got pissed off, he had his own version of cursing. Yeah, Fred's a real person. Don't tell me he's fake. Well, I think he's dead now. I don't know when he died. I think he died in the 80s. Probably alcoholism. He seemed like a guy who'd probably retire and become an alcoholic. He was a bulldozer, not a bulldozer, he was a brontosaurus driver. Being a brontosaurus driver, you know, it takes a lot out of you. That damn Mr. Slate was a hard ass. I mean, Wilma was a good wife, I think. I love that show, except I didn't like Bam Bam. A little overboard with Bam Bam. It's super strength. I just never liked that. It's too much. The Great Kazoo. Or was it Gazoo? Kazoo? Remember once that something happened to Fred and he lost his memory or something. Went to this German doctor, had this really thick German accent. I have to let that cool down. The doctor diagnosed him with bumpus on the nogginus. Bumpus on the nogginus. That was the diagnosis. It's a really thick German accent. You'll bump us on the nogginus. It's a great diagnosis. It's the best diagnosis I ever heard. Bumpus on the nogginus. Hey man, I've lost the other line. That was negative. Why am I not finding the other? Those are the woofer ones. There it is. Bumpus on the nogginus. Sounds serious. Really serious. There's my wife. Texting me going, is the kitchen clean? Yeah, honey, it's spotless. Absolutely no solder anywhere. I'd never work on anything on your countertops. You've always told me that. What? You'll be home in 5 minutes? Are you shitting me? You're going to be home in... Okay. See, you guys are sitting here going, I know what you're saying. You didn't put the heat shrink on. That was a little short. So, yeah, honey, you're going to be home in 5 minutes? Well, so that's when you gotta think on your toes. That's when I say, well, you know how I always do you favors when I'm out and about and you call me and say, you know, stop by the liquor store or something. That's when I say, well, you know what, since you're on your way home, you're gonna have to stop by the store for me. I've got a list of 18 items I need you to get. It's gonna take about 45 minutes, but hey, that's how much time I need to clean all this crap up. I mean, and the only way I can clean it up is hide it in the closet, like, you know, like shovel it in the closet real quick. Otherwise, if she sees this, guess who's going to have bumpus on the noggin is? Big time. Remember Weirdly? He was the monster guy. And his wife was Creepella, I think. They moved in, Fred went over to the fence and he reached over, I forget exactly how it worked, he reached over and a crab, some big ass crab latched onto him. Weirdly came over and said, oh, he's got crabgrass. That's some good writing right there. You gotta admit. Almost done here. Tell you what else was good writing was the Addams Family. And the Munsters. That's some good writing. Modern sitcoms got nothing on the Addams Family and the Munsters. Nothing. Not even close. I'm not going any lower. You know, if I was really going to do a full restore, I'd take it all the way down to the circuit board. And I still may do that if I'm going to replace the capacitors. But I'm not going to make a career out of this right now until I listen to them. So no career out of this until I listen. All right. Okay. Our binding posts are now officially hooked up. How am I going to get that woofer in there? I could really use another hand. I mean, a third hand. Okay, the woofer has a gasket on the back. That's going to stay there. So what I want to do is turn this over. And did those wires come out of the bottom? I'm looking on the other speaker. Okay, the wires came out of, the terminals were over here, which is over here, which is right there. Ah, nice and seated. I guess I don't need another hand. I should have removed the woofer this way. I didn't think to. Always use the correct size scroogee. And actually this one's probably, no, this one fits really nicely. I mean, if you can wobble it like that, this is probably not the correct size. You shouldn't, when you fit into a cross recessed or some kind of Phillips, you shouldn't get that much wobble. Otherwise, you don't really have the right size. But this isn't a critical situation because it's not going to be torqued that much. Okay, now we're getting seated. Okay. Click. 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 Okay, final torque. Click. Click. They come to a firm stop. Firm stop. That's a nice firm stop. Click. Firm stop. I learned a lot in shop class in high school. That's good. The last thing to do is to smolder these. And then vacuum this puppy out. Now I want you to shout at at your monitor or your display. Shout really, really loud so I can hear you if I forget to put the heat shrink tubing on. You know what? After this connection, this speaker would be ready to use. Put the baffle on. I'm not going to screw it in initially. We're just going to give it a test. But that'll probably be for the very, very next video because I've got a boogie. Homie's got somewhere to be. I'm gonna smolder these and I'm gonna call it a day. I'm gonna give you a close-up of all this stuff. You know, I'm a year shy of 60 years old. And I still got really good close-up vision. Really, really good. And I'm thankful for that. I can see really, really, really good close-up. I gotta let the smoldering iron heat up. I love making these. Ultimately, you know, this video will be up for a long time, and ultimately, somebody or more than one person, not you guys, but someone's going to come along. Whenever a guy, this is a guy thing, someone's going to come along and says, you're not soldering right, you did this wrong, you should have done it this way. You got to do it that way. That's wrong. That's wrong. You suck. You suck. You're not good. You don't do things according to my man code. My man code is different than your man code. It happens every time. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I could be working on a car, working on electronics. There's always a know-it-all that's going to come along. Always. That knows better than everyone else. And I'll say it right now. I know that I'm not great. Okay, I got abruptly cut off because the battery on my Sony Handycam done died. Okay. So, got the connections made, soldered, and time to shrink them. Final connection. go set it on the couch. I'll take you over there and show you. Actually, I can't. What a dummy. I can't because my camcorder's plugged in. I'll tell you what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to bring it over here and zoom out. All right. Don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but connections are in. Little epoxy on the bottom. The woofer's connected. Crossover's connected. Drivers are all in. Careful to lay it down. Where's the back? Where's the baffle? Now hold on a second. Be patient. Baffle's coming right up. I'm still going to do some wire management and put the insulation in there and all that. Fits right in. I'm going to lay it on the top because the binding posts are on the bottom. All right. We are electrically connected. It's a brand new day. What do you think? Okay, I'm going to wrap this one up, call this part 7. What we're going to do next is, as is, I'm going to put it up against a wall and give it a sound test. Let's do something right now. You guys are going to want this. Let me see if everything's in view. Yes, it is. Is the generator in view? All right. This is a Instech audio, low distortion audio signal generator. All right. This doesn't have much of an amplifier in it, so I don't know how this is going to work. Okay, we're at absolute max amplitude right now. 10K, 5K, 1.5K. We're coming out of the mid-range now. And the woofers, we've already crossed over. Coming out of the woofers now, we're at 1K, 1K. We're definitely coming out of the woofers. Both woofers are working. Let me try that mid-range again. 4K. Mid-range working. Mid-range working. 4K. And we'll turn this amplitude down and go down to 100 hertz. I don't think this has the capability of woofers. That's 30 hertz, but there seems to be an overtone. That's 15 hertz, but there seems to be some kind of an overtone of some kind. I don't know where that's coming from. Can you see the woofer moving? Go up to 20 hertz. Can you see it moving? How about this one? That one's moving too. There we go. It's moving. It's 100 hertz. 1K. $2K. Hold on. I'm trying to. Yes, something's coming out of the mid-range now. I'm just using the mics. There's definitely, we're getting something out of both the mid-range and the woofer, so we're in a crossover region. We're in a crossover region. Okay, at 2K, I'm not hearing anything out of the woofer. I'm not hearing anything out of the tweeter. Hold on. Very little out of the woofer. And the mid-range is producing 2K. Hold on. You know, I'm sorry. I'm getting weirdness here. I can't. Now we're getting tweeter. I can't exactly tell. Hold on, I'm gonna hold the camera down. Forgive me, I'm putting that ear up against the mid-range. Okay. What I did was put my ear up against the mid-range, and I swept this between 1K and 4K, and there's a peak in amplitude at around between 2 and 2.5K on that mid-range, and that peak in amplitude goes up and down. This mid-range has a very narrow band, at least for my ear. It's almost like this woofer covers the range up to about 1K, and this tweeter seems to take over around 3 to 4K, and this mid-range is just a slight fill. That's what I'm hearing with my ear. Almost like, you know, instead of the mid-range going up and being flat and coming down, it's almost like a hump and then coming down, almost like it's just filling a narrow gap between the woofer and the tweeter. That's, to my ear, what's going on. But everything is working. Isn't that cool? Everything's working. I hear, you know, my signal generator in the bass frequencies is producing some kind of an overtone. And I don't know why, but this amplifier is not capable of driving these woofers. So it's probably it's distorting. And there's a distortion that's adding harmonics, and we're hearing the harmonics. So it's harmonic distortion, that's the overtone. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. Isn't that cool? Hey, that was a good wait for it moment, huh? All right, Stereo Police, I've got somewhere to be. I hope that was enjoyable for a part 7. I think this is part 7. I'll be back at you real soon for a sound sample of this one. If it sounds good, I'm going to reproduce what well, you know what? We're going to stuff this one, get it stuffed, and we're going to finalize this speaker before I start working on the other one. Stereo Police, ciao.